Hey everybody. Okay, so this is the weekly update. I have some random stuff going here, so let me reset this. Um, I had a short week this week because I had to go for. I mentioned before I'm having a surgery in a couple weeks, so I had to go for a consult out of state. So shortened the week a little bit, but we got quite a bit done earlier in the week, and hopefully by the end of the day today we'll actually be starting this weekend on what I was hoping to start on Monday and get a little bit ahead of the game. I feel like I'm getting enough practice with this that I'm starting to pick up steam and rely on kind of tutorials and documentation a bit less, which helps. So a couple quick changes. On the business side, real quick, the LLC is still processing. I think that's pretty close, and my documentation may be on the way. The hoodies should arrive today. So for next week's update, I'll probably be wearing one, and I'll post a picture of it before the end of the day to the Facebook page so people can see what those look like if you're interested. But mostly, focused on the actual game itself right now. So early in the week, I did a bunch of refactoring to make some of the things that I want to do next work a lot more smoothly. One thing is the, let's see, Ben Turner here. One thing is the loot items that you would get from fighting monsters before. Basically, they're like trophy drops, which are principally crafting materials. They were not proper items that you could move around between inventory. It was just tracking which trophies you had and how many. So I did some work to convert those into a proper inventory item right now with a price, and they can be kind of moved around between the stash and so on. And that allows now in the shop this sales dialogue where you can buy and sell items between the print shop on the ship and your explorer. So you can load an explorer's inventory up, send them over to the shop, which ultimately it happens instantly right now. Ultimately, it'll have some transition animation or graphics, and there'll be some travel time for them to go and back. Which is kind of an opportunity cost of every time they go to the shop, they're sort of out of the rotation for exploration or doing crafting or other things. So there's a buy and sell dialogue right now. Bunch of work on the back end to generate the shops. So everybody playing the game has a different sort of shop instance in parallel, meaning that what's available for sale for me as a player and you as a player playing in parallel, we're going to have different inventories available. And the pricing will actually be different as well. So there's kind of a multiplier in the background that determines how generous the shop is. Usually when it's giving you great buy rates, your sell rates are equally not as good. So there's parity there, meaning you can't like show up to the shop one day, buy everything they have and sell it all back and make a profit. It evens out. But for example, if you go and buy a bunch of stuff today, you might get good rates. And then in a couple days, you might get better rates on some of the goods and sell them back. That'll get more sophisticated over time. But the shop inventory, the amount of money the shop has available to buy your things, and the price multiplier are sort of periodically reset right now. So the shop over time will reload its inventory and be able to buy more stuff. But you can't just farm like a million things, show up to the shop, sell them everything, and they have an infinite supply of money. So this is the buying and selling dialogue right now. So I have one item for sale in my inventory, which is this scrap metal material. And I have 205 in credits. And then the shop has available 97.95. Right now they reset to 100 credits. A lot of these items have zero cost right now because I haven't priced them all out, but basically like if I want to say sell this item to the shop, and you'll see some weird number stuff happen here because it's not quite rounding appropriately in all cases, but I've just sold the shop the scrap metal, and so the shop credits go down, my credits go up, and in the background this is all keeping in sync with the server and confirming that the transaction worked and so on. So I can buy items back, and that'll transfer it back as well and make the fund exchange. And here you can see the weird rounding stuff, so I haven't nipped that in the bud yet. But this gives you a way to take the things that you acquired adventuring and sell them to the shop to gain credits. And then the shop has a certain amount of chance to have better than common items. So like there's a grounded frame here, which is a good kind of a rare frame. So I might sell some items to the shop and acquire enough to buy the grounded frame. So I'm going to buy that now, and I have a grounded frame for Ben Turner. So that's the kind of side-by-side buy and sell dialogue, and a system now to actually have the currency sort of be meaningful. So I can leave the shop. One thing you might have noticed here actually is if we leave Ben Turner in the shop, there's actually like kind of I call them portraits right now, but there's a portrait here telling me what's going on with my explorers. So we're going to give a couple power cells to Elvira here, and Elvira can go adventuring. So it used to be before when you were adventuring, you could go back to the ship and you could look at them back and forth and so on. But you wouldn't really have a way, unless you went to the adventuring scene, to look at them to understand who is adventuring. So now there's an explorer portrait. Everybody who's off of the main area doing something else, this is going to show a portrait entry for them with their name, their level, and their status. And you can go directly to wherever they are. So I can go see Ben Turner in the shop. I can go check on Elvira or whoever else happens to be exploring. So this will be kind of expanded a bit over time, but that and a few other changes I'll discuss let me get rid of this just random test menu, which made no game sense whatsoever, but gave me access to see who was exploring and add more adventures and so on. So I replaced that with the portrait system and a couple simple crappy graphics that I made here. One is an applicant board, so these are the explorers that you can hire, and then there's a stash here where you can view the items in the stash. So at some point here, like if the explorer wants to get some items from the stash, they're actually going to walk over there, open the stash, the dialogue's going to come up, and then they can exchange stuff. So it makes more sense to have them as game objects than just some random menu with no context whatsoever. So kind of a bunch of refactoring to make that happen, to promote the materials to being full-scale items, to build the shop on the back end, create the shop dialogue and UI, keep everything in sync, and a little bit of refactoring here to set the stage for some of the game elements transitioning between scenes and doing some of the kind of animated activities. And then a bunch of fixes and other things going on in the background. So that's where we are. This is just kind of, I guess, Monday and Tuesday worth of work to put these in place. Not too bad. The shop went pretty smoothly, I think. The next big thing that we're going to be working on, I have a few more cleanup items here, which hopefully I can complete today. And we'll start on the weekend and going into Monday, is putting the basics of the crafting system in place. So materials that you drop from monsters or that you can find and purchase from the shops can be combined using initially hidden recipes to create items. So you'll be able to, for example, take an empty power cell and recharge it with a power source, or you'll be able to combine a frame generator with some items to create an upgraded or a rare frame with special properties, so on and so forth. So much like the gear and the monsters and the traps and challenges and so on, initially the crafting system will be more mechanics than it will be content. So we need to make the crafting system work. How do we track the recipes that you know and don't know? How do we discover those recipes? How do you combine the items to produce some other item, or the recipe fails and you get some useless junk, or however decide to wire that up. So we're going to put that crafting system in place, and then defer for a while until more game mechanics are done, creating 1,000 different recipes, which will obviously expand over time. So the mechanics of that will be coming up next. So that's basically the update for this short week. The hoodies should arrive today, so I'll try and wear one for a picture and a video next week, or as soon as they get here. Peace, and have a Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you soon.